Good evening from Swansea, wrestling fans. I'm your host, Ben Allison, and you are listening to Wrestling Republic's daily broadcast, your one-stop shop for professional wrestling, insight, news, and reviews on a daily basis. And we start off today's show with some very, very sad news. And that sad news is that Samantha Irvine has left WWE. I can't get my head around this one. I really, really can't. She is the most talented announcer WWE have had in decades. I've said it before and I'll say it again right now. She had potential to be the greatest of all time and still does. We don't know if she's leaving wrestling, if she's going to a different promotion, or maybe she is going and doing some singing stuff because we know she has a great voice for singing as well. We, of course, know her boyfriend, Ricochet. He recently joined AEW, so some people are speculating perhaps she could go there, or perhaps she will just be doing her own thing. I will say, if I was WWE, I would have offered her absolutely everything. Anything she wanted, I would have given it to her, right? Because imagine having her as the voice of Raw when Raw goes to Netflix. It would have been perfect, right? She could have made them so much money. And I think it's a huge L for WWE. Quite frankly, I think this is the biggest loss WWE have made, the biggest, person who's left the company or been released, whatever, since Bray Wyatt in 2020. I mean, and before then, probably Bryan Danielson in, 2012 when he got fired? I think it's a huge, huge mistake letting her go. Of course, presumably she wants to do something else. I'm absolutely certain it's her own decision with this. But at the same time, give her an offer she can't refuse or something. She earns it. She deserves to be earning, top money and, make sure she has opportunities to do whatever she wants to do on the side. But I mean, it absolutely is gutting. It's a huge loss for the WWE, and I do think they'll come to regret it. I selfishly hope she's not done with wrestling just so we can cheer her more. But yeah, I mean, WWE, she's gone from poor Chelsea Green. Her entrance, her presentation, it's lost some stock after this announcement. That one is for sure. But let me firstly introduce the panel for today's show before we do answer your questions for Mailbag Monday. And let's go to Clark Taylor first. Clark, how are you today?
I'm doing well, and at least I was until the Samantha news. Big loss for the WWE. I'm a huge Samantha Irvine fan. I agree with everything you said there, Ben. I think she's awesome, and I would have offered her absolutely the world to be the voice of Raw when they debut on Netflix, but that's neither here nor there. We've got a ton of questions. I'll make my Blues Clues reference right now. We've got mail. Let's get into it, Ben.
Absolutely, we do. And the Instagram comments are already going off about Samantha Irvine leaving. Kicks for Dad saying, I saw it after Ricochet left. Somebody else, Ryan.H194 is saying, what all capitals? We've got some people saying, maybe the NXT announcer. Somebody else saying maybe the SmackDown announcer, but I mean, nobody is being positive about anybody replacing her. And that's the thing too. I feel awful for whoever's going to have to replace her, right? Because they're going to get tons of scrutiny and hate online, even if they do a great job, purely because, I mean, how can you replace someone like Samantha Irvine? I don't think it's possible. She is like the greatest of this era for sure. But we do have a bit of positive news today with all this sad news about Samantha Irvine leaving, because Josh Markowitz is back on Wrestling Republic's daily broadcast. How are you, Josh?
What's up, everybody? What's up, Ben? I'm doing great. It's always good to be back here. I feel like Roman Reigns at this point. I feel like a part-timer here. My busy college schedule really always interfering with being on the broadcast. But whenever I get the chance to be here, always going to take you up on that. And yeah, the Samantha Irvin, it's absolutely heartbreaking. Just found that out a couple minutes ago. That her call or her announcement with when Cody won the belt at Mania 40 will always live in my head. I will always remember that call. It was so emotional. It was so real and authentic. And for that, Samantha Irvin really is one of the best. You said it best in this era, maybe of all time. I really hope this isn't the end of us seeing her in the ring or whatever she's going to do. I hope whatever she does, she'll succeed, and I'm sure. But yeah, Mailbag Monday. I'm going to WWE Raw tonight, so I'm fired up about that. We'll talk about Raw later. But let's get into the mail. How about it?
Absolutely. I mean, this must be gutting for you, Josh. You could have seen her live tonight. You now won't get
Yeah.
the chance. She had to do it this week, didn't she?
He's going to get an understudy.
Yeah, what?
Quite a few comments here. That heel Mark is saying she is extremely talented. I hope she is just pursuing her musical career. I hope she's pursuing whatever she wants to pursue. Caden Lemon is saying, no, Samantha, she's too good to lose. I agree. I would have offered her anything, right, to stay. Soul is saying she's therefore an elite announcer. I mean,
Yeah.
perhaps. I mean, you can't rule it out, can you? I don't think I'd bet on that, but you can't rule it out either. It's professional wrestling at the end of the day. If that is the case, though, and she goes to the competition, I mean, I think questions need to be asked about who let her leave WWE, because no way should you be losing a talent of that level to your competition. Jesse Hyde is saying blame Ricochet. No, you can't blame Ricochet.
No.
That is
But
it's too much to have all that power.
Kicks for Dad is saying Irvine is a huge loss. How do you fill her shoes? Simple answer is you don't. Ryan Spam is saying salutes for Samantha. Absolutely. Ryan.H194 is saying I can see her announcing an AEW, especially since Justin Roberts is there less and less these days. But yeah, I mean, perhaps so.
The Dapper
Perhaps
Yapper.
so.
Justin
I mean,
Roberts. Great nickname.
yeah. If you are going to replace him, I mean, it's a better replacement, to be honest with you. But again, it comes down to, I mean, other than the Ricochet reason, why would she leave WWE to go to, AEW? Maybe the Ricochet reason is enough, but I have a feeling it's something to do with, like, endeavors outside of professional
I think
wrestling.
heel Mark has it spot on here. This is
I
Tom
blame
Brady's
Tom
fault.
Brady.
It's always Tom Brady's fault. This is Tom Brady's
Cheater.
fault.
Cheater.
Dang it, Brady again. Brady strikes
Always.
again.
Always
You
him.
got us.
Oh,
I'm
deduct
with you.
Everton 10 points. Right, let's now go on to the mailbag, shall we? Because we have a question firstly from @just.apart, who was asking who should be the one dethroning Gunther. And this is a question to everybody. I mean, it's a tough one. It really, really is, because I think he's going to hold the title for quite some time. And the fact that Bron Breakker won and then lost the title very quickly, and it's likely, we'll talk about this later on, going to win it back again tonight, it does make me think that, okay, they're hot potatoing that title, because the world title's not going to change hands for quite a while. A wild prediction, but I'm going to go Bron Breakker. I think Bron Breakker is eventually going to become a double champion. Maybe it won't be until, late next year or something, maybe even early 2026. But I can't see Gunther losing it anytime soon, and I certainly don't know who could beat him in the immediate future. What about you, Clark?
This is one of the most difficult questions we've gotten on a mailbag in a long time, because I think Sami Zayn was the answer until we already kind of saw him lose. So that story arc, to your point, has to take a long time if it's going to be Sami, right? And to get back to that spot where it's believable and it makes sense, that's going to take up a number of months. The rest of the roster, it's interesting to me. The biggest story on Raw all summer long, Punk and McIntyre, we loved it. Every minute of it. I ate it up like a child. I loved it. I thought it was great. But did it build either one to be a world title challenger in the near future in a way where we're rooting for either one strongly against Gunther? Maybe Punk. I don't know. He's still always going to be kind of a tweener based on where he's at right now in wrestling. And there are definitely some people out there that if it's Punk Gunther are rooting for Gunther, which makes this more difficult to book. And I think the same could be said about Drew, who's done a great job as a heel, but you're looking at heel there and flipping Drew and doing Drew versus Gunther in maybe the same way you did Drew versus Brock at 36. That's tantalizing in some ways, but that's a lot of layers to build along the way and a lot of things to reverse and change. The only other name out there I can think of is the guy we like to sing for, Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins is healthy. That, I think, is the answer to the question. Because to me, since the New World title design has been out and that championship has been around, as excited as I was for Gunther to win it, it's still in some ways synonymous with Seth Rollins. And it's another notch in his hat. It's another notch on his belt. It's another, career milestone for him to be multi-time world champion with that one specifically. And if we can build to a good matchup there where it's exciting, Seth would be my answer.
I mean, fair enough. Like you said, Seth was the one who introduced that championship. It would make a lot of sense, but at the same time, I don't think he needs it. I think and he's already held the title very recently as well. But unless it is maybe like 2 years away or something, you rebuild him back to that point. I just can't see it being
Breaker
Seth.
makes a lot of sense. It's just now we're booked in a corner where it makes less sense.
No, because the Breaker shout is like next year, early 2026. So
Right.
that is like a long term. Because they love doing that with Gunther, don't they? They love. Triple H has booked 3 Gunther title reigns, and all have been multi-years.
It's true.
So he does like Gunther having a long title reign. The heel Mark
See him
says
in the
Braun
honky
Breaker
tonk,
will be the
man.
one. Caden Lemon says either CM Punk or Braun Breaker beats Gunther. But meanwhile, Jesse Hyde says the other one I was actually thinking of saying. 2 words for you. John Cena for world title number 17. I mean, Gunther, John Cena, this year's WrestleMania. Give Cena one more title reign, number 17. I mean, perhaps that could make sense too. But Josh, what's your prediction?
Damn it, Jesse, you took it out of my mouth. Yeah, I'm going John Cena here. Yeah, I think this has to happen at WrestleMania. It's his last WrestleMania. This is a match everybody wants to see. If you don't want to see this, honestly, you're lying. It's John Cena versus Gunther. Come on. My only concern is with, I think Gunther, we've seen him hold, like you said, hold several championships for, over a year. So I know he can do it. I'm just a little concerned that it may get dragged out because we've seen him hold belts for this long. It may get a little bit repetitive with the storylines and just like, at some point just kind of being like, it's just too predictable knowing he's going to win. But I think if they can, take Gunther with this belt on this journey until April, I think Gunther versus Cena should be his final match. It makes too much sense for it not to be. It's John's last chance to get to that 17th world title, like Jesse said in the comments. And I think John should win that match, defeat Gunther, become the new world heavyweight champion, and actually retire on top with the belt. I feel like I won't accept anybody but John Cena to even beat Gunther. Maybe I was thinking Dragunov until the unfortunate injury. That would have been awesome. I just, I feel like even having like CM Punk beat Gunther just makes Gunther feel weak. I feel like it's got to be John Cena. I feel like it's got to be because Gunther is really like the Superman of WWE. Like nobody beats him. Literally, it took Sami Zayn forever to beat him, and it was all the fighting power he had in him. I feel like the only guy that can really beat Gunther is going to be John Cena. I would love to see him do it at WrestleMania in front of 85,000 people at Allegiant Stadium in Las Vegas. It would really be a sight to see, and it wouldn't take anything away from Gunther. They would have an incredible match, and at the end of the day, it's John Cena getting his 17th world title. I would love to see it. Give me John Cena.
I mean, a very valid shout indeed. I mean, Anthony, we'll get to Anthony's in a second, but Caden says Cena versus Gunther is a valid take. To your point, Josh, right? I would like to see everything, you just said, apart from I would actually like to see Cena lose in that situation. Final WrestleMania, everybody's rooting for him, and then you got 80,000 people crying in Vegas. Gunther wins. Gunther is more powerful than ever. But at the same time, I also would love it if he won because, to your point, it's his last chance to do 70.
What Ben? What happened last time Cena put over someone at WrestleMania? It was awesome.
I mean, I don't think that's his fault,
different.
really. I think that's just the.
I blocked that from my memory. Why'd you have to bring that up?
Sorry,
that's a repressed memory.
He's done putting people over WrestleMania. He's gonna win.
That is a repressed memory.
Yeah. Anthony Manzano says, is Dominic Mysterio ready to win the World Heavyweight Championship?
Nope.
That's an interesting one. I mean, you took the words right out of my mouth, Clark. I'm a big Dominic Mysterio guy, right? But I think you need to wait another 2 years. And then in 2 years' time, if Dominic Mysterio win Money in the Bank, cash it in on like a B pay-per-view, and have him hold the belt for like 2 months and then lose it. Like that's how I would give Dominic his first reign. Have him be the typical heel, cash in, short reign, and just see how he does. He's not too big a risk at that point. But definitely not beat somebody as big as Gunther, in my opinion. Jesse Hyde is saying John Cena at WrestleMania for world title number 17, while The Rock could be in the road to WrestleMania from hell. Am I missing something there? I think I must be. Caden Lemon says,
I might have missed it.
I mean, there's nothing. Nothing that I've.
Orton retirement match. That's fun.
I think if Cena wins, Randy Orton will be his retirement match. Caden says a lot of people want Orton to be his final match. Literally, the two biggest names, well, the three, sorry, which are going around, is Orton, Breakker, and Gunther. Pretty much everybody is saying it's going to be one of those three. I think probably the most popular one of those three right now, people are saying is Orton, but I'm noticing more and more people saying Gunther as well. Anthony Mazzano is
honestly,
saying,
that's hilarious. I don't think it will happen, but I'm glad you threw the idea out there.
Anthony Mazzano is saying he's got a shocking one. Maybe Rhea to beat Gunther and win the heavyweight title to do
I don't
the
know
same
why
thing
that was
China
addressed
did.
to me. They're like, he's the craziest one on the cast. He might actually relate to this.
He might just buy into it.
He might. If anyone's gonna buy that one, it's Clark.
Kicks for Dads is saying, even though they aren't lined up to cross paths, I would love to see Seth versus Gunther losing. So there we are. Kicks for Dads is agreeing with you, Clark.
Thank you.
Seth Rollins should be the one. I mean, I would love the match, right? There's no doubt that I want that match to happen. I just don't think Seth needs to win. But then again, I mean, if there's a good storyline, you can make anybody deserve to win. So it is just about the story, and I think we've got quite some time to work with when it comes to this one. But now let's move on to the next question, because this one's going to be fun. What AEW stars should face Cena? And I should probably read out the full thing. If you could pick any AEW wrestler to face John Cena on his farewell tour, who would it be? And this is submitted by Arch Cart. Archie, shout out to you. And it's directed at Clark, this one. I mean, there we are, Clark, right? Let's ignore the Forbidden Door for a second, right? If AEW and WWE came to an agreement saying, for one night only, one of AEW stars can come to WWE to face John Cena, right? So it's just a one night only thing. Who are you going to pick?
So this is the most obvious question I've almost ever been asked. Because if you know me and my opinions, I do really respect John Cena in his career. But I do also believe that by the end of it, character-wise, he became this kind of corny, cyclical moral compass for the world. Like this over-the-top do-gooder, hustle, loyalty, respect, that's all great. It'd never give up, right? Like really nice messages, all of that. And when we would get the best out of him, it would be because someone would poke him. Someone would bug him. Someone would, sort of give him one of those Charlie horses. The Rock would be a great example of that. There's a few others. Randy Orton could always get the best out of Cena on the microphone. There's one guy, obviously, in AEW that you could go corny versus absolute savage, and that is Maxwell Jacob Friedman against John Cena, and it's a no-brainer in my eyes. Those mic battles would bring out the best in Cena, the clever Cena, the Cena that we all love when he is on the mic and his back does get pushed against the wall in a promo situation that we don't get to see as often, especially now. And we didn't even get to see it as often towards the end of his prime and the end of his run. We saw a little bit of it with Austin Theory, and he didn't have a worthy foe in that situation. There aren't many you can name that are. Max can handle it. MJF on the mic, running down John Cena for who he is absolute gold.
I would love it, and I 100% agree, right? If I was going to pick a name, it would be MJF as well. I mean, like you said, just for the promos alone. I remember a few years ago when we had it was quite a few years ago now, 2016, flipping heck, I'm getting old. When John Cena and AJ Styles had that promo on the mic, and it was just phenomenal. And it's like, imagine that with Max, it would just be off the charts.
So good. So good. I mean, I think of even like, Punk, who I didn't actually even mention when I was saying that, brought the best out of Cena often on the microphone.
Yeah. Oh,
very often. And seeing Punk and MJF in AEW like we did for that brief time leading to the great dog collar match, I mean, they did an 18-minute back and forth. I could see Cena and MJF pulling off the exact same thing in a different alternate universe. No problem. I could see without question.
I listed that moment on Take It to the Table recently as my favorite moment in the history of AEW Dynamite, that promo, and it was so good. Anthony Manzano says Swerve and Cena in the ring together will be incredible too.
Well, and you could also lean into the hip hop influence and really have Swerve start digging at the Doctor of Thugonomics character.
Or Hangman too. Oh no! We're never
Now
gonna see any of these. Oh,
Yeah.
thanks for ruining
When
my
I
day,
say Max,
guys.
I mean MJF Manzano.
Max Cass.
Maxwell Jacob Friedman.
I think what AEW side, what I want to face, I'll tell you who I don't want to face, and that would be Max Caster, Anthony.
Also, one last one with Edge. I do believe Edge is actually Cena's greatest rival. As much as we've talked about Orton and whatnot, Adam Copeland, I do actually believe he's his all-time greatest rival. If you break down that 2006 run and beyond, and the Unforgiven, the TLC match through 2 tables, the AA off the top of the ladder, like the idea of him spoiling Cena's victory at Elimination Chamber with the first cash in with the Money in the Bank, that would be the other honorary mention for me, because that one I think is, as much as Orton gets brought up as his greatest rival, I actually think the answer is Edge.
Fair enough. I mean, you can easily make that case. I also want to acknowledge this comment from Jesse Hyde explaining Rock's road to WrestleMania from Hell will be planned by Triple H. Right, let me just clear something up for a second. Don't believe these I mean, this isn't a dirt sheet report. This is just clickbait websites which say this. This isn't even a dirt sheet saying it. Don't believe any of that, right? Firstly, Triple H he's not in charge of WWE, right? He writes the week-to-week television. He's got multiple bosses above him. Nick Khan, is his first one. Then above that, it's Mark Shapiro. And then above that, it's Ari Emanuel. Triple H is not in charge of anything. If The Rock wanted to, try and take over, that's impossible at this point in time. He's just a member of the board, right? And he obviously wants involvement in his own storylines, which he will have. But there's not going to be any burying or anything like that, because The Rock will just say, no, I don't want to do it. Because the one bit which is true is The Rock, will have say over his creative, because he is The Rock. Caden Lemon says Moxley. It should be Cena and Moxley. I would love that. We did see it. We did see it back in the day in 2016 or 2017, whenever it was, Cena and Ambrose. So, but Moxley is a very different character nowadays. So Mox or MJF, says Caden. Yeah, great shouts, no doubt about it. Anthony says, I got one more. How about convincing Daniel Bryan to be his last match for his retirement? I mean, I don't know about that. It's Pinchy James is saying Ricky Starks versus Cena. I mean, that would be, for his retirement match, I don't know.
For his retirement match seems like a reach, but along the way.
Along the way, I'd love it. I absolutely would do. But now let's talk about something else, which I absolutely love. And of course, that is Demand Progress Plus. Now, Progress Wrestling have a show coming up this Sunday, right? And you guys can watch it live on Demand Progress Plus. And you can use code WatchProgress1 to get 50% off your first month on Demand Progress Plus, exclusively for our followers, our subscribers. And of course, it is the home of Progress Wrestling, Defy Wrestling, TNT Extreme Wrestling, and more. I say it every day, and I will continue to say it. It is so easy to use as a streaming service. My favorite wrestling streaming service by far. It's got so much great content on it from over the years. We spoke about Gunther earlier. There's so many Gunther matches when he was Walter on there. There are Finn Balor matches. There are Tyler Bate matches. There are Pete Dunne matches. I mean, there are Swerve Strickland matches on there too from when he was in Defy. It's a heck of a streaming service. Make sure you guys check it out and use code WatchProgress1 to get 50% off your first month on Demand Progress Plus, the home of Progress, Defy, and more. Now, let's move on to the next question, shall we? Because this next question is submitted by Cami_Raiden09, who is asking, do you think CM Punk will have another championship reign? Presumably, I think he means in WWE. So we'll link this question to WWE. Of course, he's not held gold in WWE since he left, over a decade ago. But Josh, do you think we could see him win gold in the near future?
Yeah, I think it's inevitable that he will. He's back in WWE. I think people honestly are probably surprised. Well, because of the injury. I think if it wasn't for the injury, I think we were probably going to see him win it at Mania. If not, yeah, I think we were going to see him win it at Mania in Philly. And then he got the injury, couldn't compete. and everything was kind of written out of order or whatnot. But I think it's kind of inevitable that CM Punk will, have the championship reign. How long will it be? That I'm not sure about. But my answer goes along with my answer for the last response with the who should be Gunther. So, I think, like I said, I think Cena should retire with the belt, right? The belt becomes vacant. I think there should be a massive tournament for the World Heavyweight Championship, kind of like there was when they introduced it when Seth Rollins won it. However, I think this one should have a bigger feel to it. I think the matches should have, more at stake. This should be, the best wrestlers they have to offer. And I think CM Punk should win in the finals of this tournament. The only reason I'm kind of against it, and I'm kind of going against myself, is that I feel like Punk should defeat someone that already is the champion and not just kind of take the vacant championship. But I feel like if we saw in the finals of this tournament CM Punk versus Seth Rollins, then that's a different story. And then if they put this finals at a PLE, now the only thing with this is when Seth Rollins won, he beat AJ Styles at Night of Champions, and that was kind of just like a random matchup. And sure, they're both great wrestlers. Everybody wanted to see this match. However, there wasn't really a story to it. There wasn't really a build to it. If this happens, I would love to see, the finals get announced and then they give it another 2 or 3 weeks to actually build this match, like a PLE match. Then we see CM Punk versus Seth Rollins for the World Heavyweight Championship. Punk wins it. I think it's a perfect way to feud Punk and Rollins and have him beat him for the World Heavyweight Championship. But I'm not sure. I don't think he's definitely not going to win a mid-card title. There's no way. It would kind of just devalue him as, CM Punk, which he is one of the biggest stars in WWE, one of the biggest stars ever. But to answer the question, yeah, I think he's going to have a World Heavyweight Championship reign. He's not going to win the Undisputed Championship, but how long will it be? I'm not sure. I hope it's a good reign. But just seeing CM Punk with the World Heavyweight Championship around his waist in WWE itself is crazy to think about and even see, hopefully. So I'm excited for when that happens. So yeah, I think he's going to get another reign.
Yeah, I absolutely could see that. And yeah, it would be the first time he's held the big gold belt since he had long hair. I mean, it's so long ago now. And of course, this is the new version. I would love it, no doubt about it. We got quite a few comments here. Some about rock and roll, actually. I didn't expect that one.
Question. Yes, I did see Ozzy got inducted. That's nice. Also, Betty White. I got terrible news for Pablo C. She passed away, so I don't think she can win the title anymore.
What? Caden Lemon says, I think Punk will at least one more reign. The big question from Kevin is if CM Punk can be healthy as a champion. I mean, that is a very, like to Josh's point, how long could the reign be? An interesting question. Caden is saying Josh is cooking with the tournament idea. Anthony is saying, maybe at this point in his career, the reason why he'd win a mid-card title is just, the state of his career. He's in a pot over young talent. I do disagree with you on that one, Josh, actually. I don't think it would devalue him if he did win a mid-card title. And to Anthony's point, I actually, I could see maybe him winning it just to pot over some younger talent or something. But I also do agree with Josh that I think he's going to win the world title first before that does happen. Jamie is saying, not sure, but Punk keeps getting injured. He's not injured right now. He survived the Hell in a Cell. I don't know. Sometimes there are comments, and I'm like, where did people hear this stuff? But now let's... I love
it's always good when you like half read a confusing one and you're like, yeah, I'm not going to read that aloud, but I had to think about it for a second.
It's like, unless something's come out in the last 30 minutes, that is completely not true. But I mean, maybe it has. But now let's move on to talk about facts, shall we? Let's talk about the Raw preview. Because tonight's episode of Monday Night Raw, I need to figure out what this issue is with my Google Chrome, right, guys? Because I say it every week, and I'll say it again for the new viewers. Every single week, I have the preview open on my second Google Chrome tab. I press go live on StreamYard. We go live. We do the show. I go back to it halfway through the show to get it up, and it's never there. But I do have it back up now. Of course, tonight, Jey Uso will be defending his Intercontinental Championship against the former champion, Braun Breaker, and we'll get into that one in a little bit more detail in just a second. Seth Rollins and Big Bronson Reed will come face to face in the ring. We've also got a tag team tournament match when the New Day will be taking on the Authors of Pain. Meanwhile, also in that tag team tournament, Rey Mysterio will be tagging with Dragon Lee to take on the Creed brothers. I mean, there's going to be a lot of fun matches, a lot of great tag team wrestling tonight, no doubt about it. But this brings us on to our final question of the day, submitted by at jsurner90.ic, who is asking, will the Bloodline come after Jay tonight on Raw? I mean, I called it last week on Allison Analysis. I said it's so obvious. It's going to happen. They're going to cost him the belt tonight. Jey Uso's going to lose it again, and that's why he's going to team with them. And SmackDown this week, it kind of confirmed it to me. But Josh, do you agree or do you disagree?
Yeah, I agree with you. I've actually been on Twitter. I'm going to Raw tonight, as I mentioned earlier, so I'm fired up for this main event. And I've been on Twitter nonstop, just literally tweeting the exact same thing, pretty much what you said. I think obviously since I'm going, I would love to see Roman come out and Fatu and Solo and Jimmy and all that. And I've seen people, saying Roman's going to come out. I don't think he is. I think that's a bit of a stretch. It's just Raw. If he did, it would be electric to say the least. Realistically, I think we're just going to see Solo and Fatu come out. I think, like you said, SmackDown kind of made this obvious. Jay disrespected them to their face on SmackDown. And, now they're going to cost Jay the belt. It makes too much sense. It provides a perfect opportunity for Jay to insert himself back into this Bloodline story where, by the way, he peaks, Jay Uso is best when he's in the Bloodline story. And I'm just excited to see him join forces, along Roman and Jimmy again, hopefully in what will be the eventual Organs match, which is going to be awesome. I'm so excited. But yeah, I think the Bloodline's definitely going to cost Jay the title tonight. And I think Braun Breaker will be the new champion. Not sure where they're going to go from here. And I'm pretty surprised they were selling a bunch of merch with Jey Uso with like the Intercontinental waist around it. Like they had like the John Cena old shirt with like the WWE Championship. They're selling those shirts.
Yeah.
Now I'm sure everyone just realized they wasted their money, but it is what it is. And if I could just quickly add on to one thing, because nobody's really talking about this, because obviously it's not in the preview for tonight's Raw or whatever, and just because Jey Uso and Braun Breaker are such big news, but and the QR code for the Wyatt 6, it was the destination of Wells Fargo Center last week, which is the stadium which Raw is tonight. So not a lot of people are talking about it, but I think the Wyatt 6 are going to show up tonight. What they're going to do, I don't know. Will they interfere with the tag team match? I'm not sure. But that's, just something to look out for tonight, which I'm excited for. But to answer the question, yes, I think Jey Uso will lose the belt. Bloodline interfere. He will join forces with Roman and Jimmy, and it'll set up the War Games match.
Yeah, if I was Miz or Karrion Kross, whoever it is, they actually are targeting with these video packages, because it's always when they're both together. I just run and hide. I just wouldn't turn up tonight, really. Just take a night off. Have a sickie. Just don't. It's not worth it. But
it's a good time to fake a headache.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we seem to be in agreement that it's probable that Jey Uso is going to lose the title tonight. But I've been saying it. I absolutely just hate this booking they're doing with Braun Breaker. It makes no sense to me. They had him lose the first time he challenged Sami Zayn. I didn't like that, but I was like, okay, that's, to make him look stronger. So now he's going to go on a big undefeated streak. And then he loses his first defense. I don't get it. I don't like it. It just seems to be you're just 50-50 booking this dude every single chance you get. And Clark, I haven't actually got your thoughts on this booking yet. So I want to know, firstly, do you agree with me, Josh, on a lot of these comments that Jey Uso is going to lose tonight? But secondly, what's your thoughts on Braun Breaker's booking so far?
I definitely agree with you. My thoughts on Braun Breaker's booking is he's got to kind of win the title back to fix it. I'm more interested in, I think there's one way that we can really make sense of this Jay loss. And it's the one, it's the cherry on top of the sundae. It's the banana and the banana split. It's the one spot where I'm like, okay, they can make this worth it. And I think that's early in the show. We need to see Jimmy approach Jay in the locker room and say, listen, bro, I know it's been dramatic. I know all of this stuff has gone down, but I know for a fact that they're coming tonight and they're going to interfere. They're going to make a mess of your match. They're going to cost you. And have Jay go, I don't need your help. Offer his services to come out with his brother. Be the loyal guy that Jimmy's been basically the entire storyline. Offer his services to Jay. Have Jay decline them. He does eventually get cost the match. He loses to Breaker. We can fix the Breaker story down the line. But then that's when Jimmy runs out and goes, I can't even help myself. It is still my brother. It's still my brother. And he stops the post-match beatdown. After Breaker exits with the title, Jimmy comes out and stops the post-match beatdown. And it moves the storyline along in a way that I think that benefits everybody involved. It makes sense of all of it. Jimmy's got to be there to have Jay's back. Jay's got to turn it down and then realize he needed him all along. That connects the dots properly for me when it comes to the bloodline at this moment. And that's where I'm okay with Jay being like, you know what? Dang it. I got to do this for family. It's more important than titles. It's more important than everything else. You're my brother. That's my cousin. I'm sick of this stuff. It still bothers me. But I need to be there for this.
Mm. Yeah, I mean, I agree with you, Clark. I don't think it's a big issue with the Jay stuff. I think they've done it quite good. The only issue at all I had was the fact that Jay smiled when he saw Jimmy the other day, and it was like, you were like in his face 4 days ago. Like, is there something we don't know about? If there's not, then I don't like this. But apart from that, I have really liked where they're going with the story. But it's just Braun Breaker he has been backed into a corner. We have tons of comments I want to get to. We have Pablo C saying, to be honest, Punk was the worst AEW champion, not to mention he was disastrous in the UFC. They will be doing him a favor, giving him the title. I mean, none of that's got to do with WWE, to be fair. Caden is saying,
hey,
Bloodline's going to
TKO owns them both now, Ben. Maybe it does.
Wow. Well, ignore that one. Kervin is saying that he doesn't want to see another drop because we keep seeing Raw talent show up on SmackDown and vice versa. We don't see it as much as we used to. I don't have a big issue with it anymore because when it happens now, it's always like, the GMs are fighting about it. There's all, fines and all that stuff. So now I think they're in a position where it's okay again. But if this was 24 months ago, I would have completely agreed with you. Josh Joseph is saying that he is still shocked, but expected Samantha the exit. I am shocked and did not expect the exit because I thought they were going to. I thought they were going to offer her like whatever she wanted, like just take a pick out of anything, right? Caden is saying Wyatt's going after Final Testament, and I have one piece of advice for them: run. I agree, Caden. Don't go to the show tonight. Don't turn up, right? Give Josh their bit backstage passes instead, so Josh can go backstage and meet everyone.
Yeah, sacrifice yourself for my excitement and my entertainment.
And it's not even sacrificing themselves. It would, it'd help them out. They'd be saved. Exactly.
Right, yeah, you're welcome.
They should thank you. Yeah. Kervin is saying, so far nobody is making the Intercontinental Championship feel important like Gunther did. It's early days. I don't think I think that's the booking.
Isn't Jey Uso like leading the league in merch sales? It still seems pretty important right now.
Well, he was doing that before, but you're right. He is. His merch
sales
it
does still seem pretty important.
No, but I get his point. It has lost its prestige because it's been hot potatoed. But that happens. Shad is saying Braun has disrespected the bloodline as in the family lineage. That's true. So they probably shouldn't help him. Shield him like he did against Roman, throwing the white flag.
I don't know that.
Like that.
Kervin is saying, why people going to take Braun Breaker serious? The man lost to Sami Zayn and then lost to the champion Jay. This is my point. Like, you can save him, right?
Well, they botched Breaker, but you can save him.
Yeah, but it is stupid. I completely agree with you. I went on a rant about it, and then everyone went nuts at me. Kervin, please go to the reel from last week on our Instagram page and back me up in it, right? Because I'm having to go in all the comments like, oh, you're being negative. And I'm like, no, it hurts Braun Breaker. It does. Jesse Hyde is saying if Samantha goes to AEW, then TK will be to blame for
Too bad he's employing people. What a horrible person. We should totally
blame him. Also, one last point about the whole hurting Braun Breaker thing. When you think about it tonight, if he wins, likely he's not even going to win clean. He's going to win because of an interference, which doesn't even help the case that he's like the strongest guy. Like he's not even going to win clean, which is going to hurt him even more. So, Triple H, do your thing.
Oh, it's true. It's true, Josh.
That's a great call, Josh.
To your point, Jesse, I mean, listen, if TK has managed to secure Samantha Irvine, I will give him a handshake myself, right? Because that you've literally taken like the best ring announcer in wrestling for like the longest time and taken her off the biggest brand in the world when they're the hottest they've been in a long, long time. I mean, that is a heck of a signing if that is the case. I still have a feeling she's leaving wrestling, but it's disappointing. I was going to say it's disappointing either way, but no, I'd prefer to see her in AEW than leave wrestling. I still want to hear her, read voices. I mean, I also think Chelsea should then go to AEW just so we can hear Chelsea Green, because it's ruined Chelsea for me now, Clark. It's disappointing. I'm depressed. It's an awful end to the show. Samantha's gone. Happy Monday, everybody. Hope you all have a great week. No, in all seriousness, that does bring us to the end of the show. We will be back same time, same place tomorrow to give our thoughts on last night's Monday Night Raw. Thank you to everybody for commenting throughout. Make sure you guys tune back in tomorrow as well. Thank you to Josh. I hope you have a great time at Raw tonight. And thank you to Clark as well. But we will see you guys tomorrow. Pa 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 pa. Be